check my, there, okay, it's on. Um, just totally off of what I'm going to talk about. These foamy things I got for this microphone work really well. Yeah, I used to have a lot of problems with my p and breathing and stuff. And they were pretty cheap, so that's I got. They come in 3 in different colors. So anyway, um, I made a video last night that I decided to not post, and I tell you what was going on. I was I injured my neck at the festival. I did everything myself. I put up my tent. I don't know if you've ever put up a frame. Um, if you're short, it can, I had a step ladder, but still there was a lot of this looking up, and I was lugging heavy things. I had a heavy purse hanging off of me, pulling down. And so about Sunday, halfway through, I started to notice pain. And they, the doctor put me on prednisone, 20 milligrams, and I took 1 dose in the morning. And I didn't sleep. I was sedated, semi-conscious for a few hours because I took a lot of medication to what I normally take, in addition to PRNs for me to take, and some other things I help take. This other thing I sometimes take at bedtime, and I was just talking and talking and talking and speeding and speeding and speeding, and I was in the video, I was talking about being angry at our vet regarding my dog, and I was getting really worked up and hostile, and I had to take him in early in the morning and like ask my mom to go in with me because I'm like, so you can keep me from making a scene because I am just completely out of my mind. It is known that I read it can be anecdotal and they don't know for sure, but this isn't the first time this has happened. But it was a long time ago, the last time I was on steroids, and the dose was kind of high, I think, in my opinion. And so I messaged my doctor. I'm like, I can't take another dose. It's morning and I am still speeding from this prednisone. And they're like, stop, don't take any more. Come in, have an x-ray. Thank goodness the x-ray was normal of my neck. I don't know where the popping and clicking's coming from though. And when I do move in certain positions, I get sharp shooting pain, some numbness and tingling, like the back of my arm into here. I guess there's just some inflammation there, and I figure I already knew I had some arthritis going on there because when I would move my neck around, I could hear a sandy gritty kind of thing. I have really poor posture, particularly when I'm sitting. I'll start out nice and straight like this, and as time goes on, I get more and more like this and a bent neck, and I end up with a sore neck. And I think it's genetic because my mom does the exact same thing. But anyway, I decided not to post that video because it was kind of embarrassing. I was like crazy. So I'm here to tell you to, if you have particularly if you have bipolar disorder, to be careful with steroids. The problem is that I can't take ibuprofen either because of the lithium. And so now it's baclofen, a muscle relaxant, and I was worried about being sedated with that. And because I do still have some muscle strain and discomfort. So I tried just half a dose first, and I didn't feel a thing. So I took a full dose with my nighttime meds so I'd be more comfortable laying down to sleep, because when I move my head in certain positions, I get a sharp pain. And I'm going to get some physical therapy probably next week. So even, and I do know that having been a nurse before I was a dog trainer, and how I accomplished being a nurse for several years while dealing with both bipolar and autism, but unknowing, not knowing I had autism. I had autism, I had the symptoms, but it just wasn't something they diagnosed. So for someone my age, sex, and I'm going to make a video specifically on how it was actually fitting the environment I was in and suited towards my autism. Not my bipolar, though. That's what got me out of the field. Anyway, that's a different video. Even people who do not have a history of bipolar disorder can have a manic episode triggered by steroids. Not like muscle building steroids, anabolic steroids. I'm talking about prednisone, methylprednisolone, those kinds of steroids as anti-inflammatories. Sometimes people take it like I did. I was prescribed it for inflammation around the joints and stuff. Or if you have like an infection and there's a lot of inflammation, you might be given steroids. But you might not, because it can decrease your immune system and then it's harder to heal. But you might. And also with some chemotherapy regimens, like dexamethasone specifically, can be high doses. So it's unpleasant. It was really unpleasant 24 hours for me. In fact, I'm still feeling the effects. It affected my taste. I was super, super thirsty, and I just was up all night drinking soda and water, but it all tasted the same, like nothing, which is really disappointing when you're trying to quench a thirst. And I was snacking all night, more out of boredom, but it can increase your appetite. But worst of all, I couldn't fall asleep. I was just wired. I took it in the morning, and at first, for an hour, I felt fuzzy and kind of dreamy. And I thought, am I going to be able to train dogs today? Am I going to be able to drive today? But that subsided. But after that, I was super mobile and verbal. And so I had 2 dogs to train, and when I went to the owner, it's like, first of all, I injured my neck, so I'm not going to be able to handle the dog on the leash. So if that's what we're going to work on, you're going to have to follow my verbal instructions, because for right now I can't have a dog pulling on me. And I also said that, I'm on steroids, so I might be a little more chatty than you know me to be. So, I've been talking for like 36 hours straight. I'm hoping with a baclofen, my usual meds will put me to sleep tonight. I can't say that they will, because for someone with bipolar disorder, if you're triggered by something like lack of sleep, like maybe you work a weird shift, once you get rolling, it's hard to stop an episode. And I haven't had that level of mania in a very long time, naturally. And so I'm hoping it's not triggered an entire episode. So please, whatever you do, have my thoughts or prayers, whatever you do, that I was not triggered into an actual manic episode, and what I'm feeling is still residual from the prednisone, because it's like I'm hyper motivated. I want to get stuff done. I want to start dusting, and it's bedtime. I want to work on projects, but it's bedtime. And what I do when I feel I am slipping into one or the other, depression or mania, hypomania. I haven't had mania in a very long time. I've only had hypomania for years. I tend to just have these ups and downs, and I'm aware of them, and so I just ride them out and adjust my life until, I buckle down and stuff. But the most important thing I find is, as you're going through it, and you're going through it and you can't do anything about it, you're doing all you can, is to stay on your schedule. If you take a shower every morning at 6 a.m., whether you're motivated to or not, you do it. If you take your medication at a certain time and go to bed at a certain time, do it. Those are the times when you really need to buckle down on that schedule. Make sure you have some downtime. Find a space for you to be that is not as stimulating. Maybe the lights aren't as bright. Maybe there's less noise, less people. And avoid what will get you in trouble. Stay off of Amazon.com. Don't go to the boat to gamble. Don't go to the bar to pick up chicks. You know what I mean? And don't do those things. Do the opposite. Bring everything back to you, what you need to avoid trouble. Because if you don't buckle down and stick to that schedule and be very mindful, I think that is when you give in to those urges. And I understand that there is a line that you reach, at least for me, and I imagine other people are like this too. There's a line, and you're up to that point, you're aware that your mood is off. And that's when you need to be taking care of things. And if you get above that line, and you're no longer able to understand that you are in a bipolar, manic, or depressed episode, and you can't understand that this is your disorder that you just need to get through, maybe call your doctor. If you get past that point, you can't do those things anymore. Because your brain, I always imagine there being, and I don't mean this literally, but people in my head. And for depression, I understand that I feel the bipolar disorder as two people. And one is depression, and it tells me negative things. And up to a certain point, I know it's the bipolar, so I can disregard it. No, everybody does not hate me. No, I am not an awful person. Yes, I make mistakes, but so does everybody else. You're able to reason some things. But if you get beyond a point, then you become convinced of what that is telling you. And the same thing is with mania. It is a voice that starts to say, if you want to stay up 1 hour later, just take your medication a little later. 1 hour is not going to hurt. But it does. And up to a certain point, you understand that that's the bipolar talking, and you need to stick to your schedule. But if you get above that, you're going to listen to that voice. And you're going to be like, well, I'm having fun. I'm enjoying myself. I'm getting some stuff done, or I'm having a good time. And I don't want to stop. And why should I? Another hour's not going to hurt. And then it's 2 hours. And then it's, well, I have the day free. I'll just sleep all day. Next thing you know, your entire schedule's reversed, or you're not sleeping at all. So if you buckle down on that schedule that you have established and maintained, you're less likely to end up in the extremes. So, in my case, it was recognizing that this medication, the side effects of this medication was going to be worse than what it was treating. I can handle some shoulder and neck pain and discomfort. I can live with that. I cannot live with full-blown mania followed by a full-blown depression. As ruin everything I have going and have worked for and gotten myself to. So I'm going to leave you with that advice, and so you can keep that in mind in case you are put on a medication. Another thing, I'm going to add one more thing. Now, when I had the lithium toxicity, it turned out that, first of all, I was running high and nobody told me, and nobody did anything until I got a better psychiatrist. But my primary physician prescribed lisinopril for my blood pressure. I had just developed high blood pressure, and it's like the most common thing they start you on first. And I guess she just wasn't aware that it could affect my lithium level and increase it. My orthodontist said ibuprofen for jaw joint pain Um, and so I was taking ibuprofen almost every day, not knowing, he not knowing that it could raise my lithium level. And people don't realize what a good resource pharmacologists are. So, um, I ask the pharmacist, I do my own research, but I ask the pharmacist, I have a new medication prescribed. Is it going to affect anything else I am on? Can it, and when I went to nursing school, we took some of our classes at the College of Pharmacy, and they have to take like 5 years training, and it is intense. And like most of the people don't get through. It's intense, it's difficult. There's just so much information you have to know to even pass, to get through. You have to get like a license or something. You have to be on a board certified, and take an exam. And so your pharmacist is a really good resource, and they will say if they feel like you should talk to your doctor about this one. But usually they have information that you have different doctors prescribing things. They're the ones that it all comes together, and they can see the list of what you're on and tell you, hey, this might affect your lithium level. You might want to talk to your doctors. And sometimes they can advocate for you. When, like, if you're just need 1 or 2 days worth until you can get it refilled and things like that. If you have a cool pharmacist, they want you to take your medication. They want you to be healthy. They don't want you to miss anything. One time, they didn't have my lithium ready when I went to pick it up, and I was like, oh, I'll just get it. That one is not what I'm worried about. I can miss a dose or 2. And they were like all up in arms, and oh no, you need to take your medication. You need to have your medication. Come back. We'll get it ready. Come back, and we'll have it ready, or we'll call. They call. The pharmacists nowadays, they call the doctors to get refills if you're out. And if that doesn't work, they tell you to call your doctor. I feel less in the dark at my pharmacy than I do at the doctor's office, except for my psychiatrist. He's very knowledgeable, my new one. Okay, so that was 2 points I was making. Keeping on schedule when you notice things are a little off, so they don't go too high and you get to a point where you're not aware that there's something wrong. That's when things get bad. And don't forget your neighborhood pharmacist. And that's it. Good night. I hope I get a good night's sleep. Bye.